Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Pacers Daily. I am your host, Hery Acosta. Happy Monday, everybody. I am very excited. The NBA season starts tomorrow. Obviously, the Pacers don't play for a few days, but let's just talk about the NBA season already. Tomorrow the Thunder play the Rockets to start off with, which should be a good game. Kevin Durant makes his NBA regular season debut on the Rockets, and it's time. NFL is on, NBA is on, MLB playoffs are on. Just so many sports to watch right now, and it's just wonderful that there's going to be something on at all times pretty much. Premier League is on, Champions League is on. I'm a big soccer guy, so I'm always watching soccer as well. La Liga's on. I'm a big Barcelona fan. And so, just the best time of the year is around the October, November time when every sport is pretty much playing at once. We just got done with the World Championships of track and field, and just wonderful. But there's a lot that goes into this NBA season. Players on new teams. We just saw Russell Westbrook sign with the Kings, which we all pretty much knew would actually happen. Ben Simmons is going into this season unsigned. Malik Beasley is going into the season unsigned. There are a few good players that are not on a roster right now. Pacers made some moves this year. Nothing was bigger than Turner leaving for Milwaukee. But that's something to always look forward to whenever we play them. I'm making sure I buy tickets to that first Milwaukee game. I'm gonna be trying to attend a bunch of Pacers games this year, just because I genuinely love going. I went to one playoff game this recent season. It was actually a Milwaukee game, and just the atmosphere was electric. It just felt like everyone in the whole city was just in one spot. And that's just how it was going on anywhere during that playoff run. Whether you went to a watch party, a bar, or just anything, whether you went to any of those places, it just always felt like everyone just was together and was just celebrating the same thing. So it was great. And I'm hoping we get something similar to that this year. But, season starts tomorrow. Very excited about it. Now let's transition over to actually talking about the Thunder game. Now, obviously, we're a little bit of a different team than what we had last season against them in the finals. Now, Turner's not there anymore. Halliburton's out for the season. Now we have a starting lineup that has two new starters with Mathurin and Isaiah Jackson. But yeah, obviously the quality, because Halliburton is the star of the team, so the quality is a little bit, not the highest just because of Halliburton being out. But we still have a very good roster, and everyone knows how to play their role. I was watching some of the preseason games against the Spurs. Now the Spurs are looking really good. That team, Wemby, third season Wemby could genuinely be an MVP candidate, depending on how well his team does in the regular season. Now Vassell, Castle look like they're about to take another step, and same with players like Sohan, Kellen Johnson. They're all looking really good. And with Dylan Harper as well, yeah, that team is pretty nasty, and they got De'Aaron Fox. So I can't really base too much off of our preseason performances against them, especially when we didn't play our starters, a lot of minutes. But Nembhard was looking like a true point guard at, moments. Mathurin, his almost near perfect shooting night. Jackson, in and out, very good. Obviously he was going up against Wembanyama, so you're not gonna have your best performance against Wemby. But Siakam is getting more consistent from behind the line, behind the 3-point line. So is Aaron Nesmith, and the bench is just looking pretty good. Now, obviously, with McConnell out for at least the second week of the season, that's gonna be a little damp to really see who's gonna be the backup, like the backup point guard, because we can pretty much move anyone into there. A player like Cam Jones, if he's back, he'd be good. Ray J. Dennis would be good. Q would be good. Or even Taylor Peter. Just any of these players could probably play that role. So just keep a lookout on that. But the main thing to expect would really just be, us playing our hearts out. Now, this is the Thunder team that beat us in a Game 7, which was one of those heartbreaking moments I've ever seen. But, we just got to play our game. We got to show that we're still the Pacers. We're still here to win, and that's all we really need. Now, we did waive a few players, including Campaign, Jalen Slauson. We also waived Kyle Guy, Gabe McLaughlin, DeLon Wright a while ago. So at the moment, we still have Tony Bradley and James Wiseman both still on the team. But, not all of the... By the time people see this video, there might be other players that have been released by then. So I don't have... The full list isn't fully out yet. But we're expecting at least 1 or 2 more cuts by the end of today. And then the full roster should be out because they have until later today to make those final cuts. There's still a lot of teams that haven't even cut anyone, so every team is needing to make that roster by later today. So, season starts tomorrow. Who's going to be our backup center? Who's going to be our third string center? Are we going to have 4 centers on the roster, or are we going to have 3? And then one's going to end up being a free agent again. Might go to the G League, might get signed to another team. Just because there's been a lot of players that get released and automatically signed to another Exhibit 10, but then they get released like 3 minutes later to keep their G League rights. The Bulls did that with Mac McClung. Which is interesting how Mac McClung gets just no time in the NBA. Even though he's played a few games in the NBA and he actually looked pretty good. And he's been really good in G League and already won 3 dunk contests. So someone lock in and sign Mac McClung, even if he doesn't play. And last but not least, I'm going to talk about Halliburton, but I'm also going to talk about indie sports a little bit just because I like talking about indie sports on Mondays. Because the IU games on Saturdays, the Colts normally play on Sundays. Obviously, they have a Monday night game in a few weeks against the 49ers. But with Halliburton, obviously, still dealing with the injury. Because that's a pretty obvious update. But he's in good spirits, It looks like he's going to be back and healthy by the next season, even by off season. So I'm really hoping to see him back on the court. Obviously, we don't want him to rush just because that could really mess him up. Now, there were talks about someone like Jason Tatum being able to play this year. Absolutely not. Do not do that whatsoever. An Achilles injury is a 12-month process. That and a torn ACL are 2 of the worst injuries you can have. A meniscus as well. We've seen a lot of players go down for a year with a meniscus tear. And so, just stay healthy and just do your thing. Now, talk about indie sports for a bit. Colts are 6-1. Just beat the Chargers at SoFi Stadium in what was a very good game. And now there's been many people talking, many analysts, many people on Twitter, on X, talking about how the Colts haven't played anyone. But here's the thing. Colts beat the Dolphins 33-8. The only other team this week was the only other time a team had allowed less points to the Dolphins because the Browns just steamrolled them. That was actually a crazy game. But we had allowed 8 points. Dolphins have been pretty competitive with any other team, including the Buffalo Bills, who, by the way, have a worse record than us and have played worse teams than us. The combined record of the Bills' wins are less than the combined records of our wins. And especially now since we just beat a 4-win team. Also, the Chargers coming into this game were right behind us. Technically right behind New England. We were first, they were third. But this was a division versus division leader. And we beat them. So now, what's the argument for analysts now about the Colts? Now, I understand the Chargers did have some injuries. Joe Alt was out. They had some players go down. But we don't have a secondary. Ward is out for 4 weeks at least on IR. Jones is still not back. Kenny Moore just came back. And we're playing with undrafted rookies as cornerbacks. So yeah, Herbert threw for 400 yards. But our offense was just playing so good that didn't even matter at that point. But our D-line, they had 23 rush yards. We had way more than that. And then IU just beat Michigan State. That's not a surprise at all. Michigan State's unranked. But now IU goes up to number 2 in the AP poll, which is the absolute best IU's ever done. So that's very exciting to see IU play as good as they are. And Obviously, the Fever are in off season. That's free agency will start at some point, so we'll see where that goes. But Caitlin Clark should be healthy by next year. But indie sports, this has been one of the most fun years to watch indie sports. Now, obviously, not really talking about the Colts last season, because the Colts last season was not a good year. We had a good team, but then everything just kind of fell apart. Richardson's injuries and inconsistency, and then Joe Flacco having to step in. But with the Pacers, with the Colts now, with IU, Notre Dame's playing pretty good. Purdue should be number one in AP basketball rankings. There's just a lot. But as always, I'm your host, Hery Acosta. This is Pacers Daily. Boom, baby, and go, Sirs.